This is Andy.
Excitement's building.
This is Thursday.
I'm nervous. Breathe with me, guys.
And this is Andy on Thursday. That's right, we gave Andy his own show.
No way. No way.
Yes way, Andy.
Holy sheet.
Holy sheet indeed. Andy Given Thursday. Live every Thursday at 10 p.m. Eastern, only on the Comic Core.
Oh boy. I'm ComicManAndy. This is Andy Given Thursday. Thanks for joining us. It's 10 p.m. Grab a frosty beverage. Let's hang out and talk comic books. And we had such a great topic last week that I really wanted to revisit this topic because throw in some different people, you get some different answers. You know what I mean? You kind of get a different vibe. And now with our second new comic book day under our belt, Wednesday kind of feels like the first one, but there technically was some books shipped the week before that. Let's talk about publishers again. So without further ado, I'm going to hit up this chat really quick, get a little bit better at that. We had some tailgaters right off the bat at the beginning, and somehow my thing's completely reloaded, but this one isn't going to go back all the way. We had LongBox in already at first. Just Rican. Hope he didn't fall asleep. Ryan from Rhino. Good to see you, man. Mr. Gretzky. It's always a pleasure seeing you. Two Brothers is here. Yeah, he's backstage too. Looking forward to talking to him. Chris Barrett, you weren't first. Something's off with the universe, right? Berk family's backstage hanging out. William Pace, hey, thanks for stopping in. Yeah, AWA Upshot. That'll definitely come up in the topic tonight. Double S, hey, man. Thanks for stopping in. Let's see who we can bring in right now, right? Hey, BerkFamily54.
How's it going, man?
Good to see you. I'm excited.
Morphin' time!
Oh.
What's up, man?
I'm excited because you and I have been talking about collaborating for months now.
We have.
And it dawned on me the other day. You're like, dude, how come we haven't done anything yet? I'm like, oh, yeah, you want to be on the Thursday show? He's like, heck yeah.
And you won my last giveaway that I did.
Yep.
You and Pinky's Out, Ken from Pinky's Out.
Yep.
You got my giveaway for Batman 655 and Teen Titans 44. Which one did you get to keep?
I actually gifted all those to Ken.
Okay.
And if he decides to gift any of them back to me, that's cool. But I decided to give them all to Ken because he has actually been out of comic book collecting for a number of years now. So that kind of was a nice little bundle to help him start back up.
Sweet, man. Nice.
But dude, congratulations, man. You're
800 subscribers.
Just over 800 as of last night, right?
Yes, sir. I'm excited. I'm going to announce another giveaway probably in the next couple of days. Going to be giving away some slabs.
Ooh.
To get to 1,000 subscribers. Not just one, but probably 2 slabs. So we're announcing that shortly. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, I would love it if you were. Lots of Power Rangers, Batman, Flash, TMNT, all of that and more.
Very cool. Yeah, if you guys in the chat haven't subbed up to Berk Family, please do. Lots of great content every week. Always a good show going on and a great guy to hang out with. And quickly becoming one of my good friends that I look for on YouTube every week.
There we go.
So I appreciate it, man. Thanks for your time tonight.
Yes, sir. I'm excited.
We're going to bring in our next guest. What's that?
I say we got some good people joining us tonight.
I don't think there's any bad people in the community. That's what I like about this show. I just got to find somebody who hasn't been on lately or who's interested in being on. I'm really excited for this guest because I haven't been able to collab with him and haven't been able to spend a whole lot of time to talk with him. So LongBox Diving, man, I'm honored that you were able to free up some time tonight.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'm excited about this. This is going to be cool.
Yeah, and for anybody in the chat that hasn't met LongBox, check out his channel. Link is in the descriptions. Everybody's information's in the description. Hit him up. He's just shy of 300. Let's help push him past that 300. Share the word.
You will also have a giveaway. Not a slab,
Ooh.
but it's a giveaway.
As long as it's comic books, right?
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I got a stack over there of duplicates like this big.
Oh, boy. We were just talking about the stacks behind us everybody's working on lately.
Yep.
So thanks, man. I really appreciate your time. Looking forward to your opinion and your conversation tonight.
I'm opinionated. I warned you. So
we can move on and bring in our next guest, but we could make them suffer backstage too, right?
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah.
What's up, Dustin, man?
What's going on, fellas?
Well, great to have you on again.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hold on. We're on Andy Given Thursday. I gotta. Here we go.
Oh boy. I don't know why I do it. It's just a comfort thing.
Man, growing up, I always wore fitted backwards. Always. It's been the past couple of years I started wearing them forward, and because I wore a forward hat in our first video, Nick says I have to wear a forward hat till the end of time because that's my gimmick. So only when I'm on someone else's channel will you ever see the hat turned around, especially when I'm on Andy Given Thursday.
I need to go get my Kansas City Royals hat and put it backwards, I guess.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, this is your second time on, actually.
Yep. Always fun.
Andy Given Thursdays is a really good time. So we've got a couple of questions. We'll go around the horn, and you guys are free to interject or bring up some topics or some other points, or if anybody in the chat has some questions, please feel free. And while we're talking about that, chat, I'm going to get right back to him again because we now have my mom who stops by and visits every show I do. Thank you very much.
Nice.
Backseat driver, thanks for stopping in, man. Great to see you. And Berk's right in there again, right at the bottom. I thought there was actually a few more in there. And if you guys aren't already in the chat, sub to the Comic Core, please do. Hit that notification bell. Hit that like for our show tonight. It does help out a ton of people. Helps out the Hero Initiative. The Comic Core, all proceeds for the Comic Core since we've been monetized do go to the Hero Initiative. So every super chat that we receive goes to the Hero Initiative. The donations that come in go to them. And if there's any, I don't know if there's ad revenue, but if there is, it goes to the Hero Initiative. So that's great. And we'll plug them really quick. In the description down there at the bottom is the information for the Hero Initiative. Please go visit them. Check out their merchandise section because you can actually purchase one-on-one. Well, not one-on-one. You can purchase panel time with some of your favorite creators. I think Tom King was on there once. Chip Zdarsky was on there. I had the pleasure of hosting the panel for John McCrae, who's done a lot of work with Garth Ennis, and it was a ton of fun. And they keep them small. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people. And the panel is just kind of what we're doing right now. Kind of go around the horn, questions with that stuff. And they've got other great merchandise and lots of great art there. So check them out. Like I said, all the monetization for the Comic Core goes to the Hero Initiative. They greatly appreciate it. And they see you guys talking about it. They see everybody talking about it. They see these super chats, and they say thank you very much. So speaking of super chats, Rod threw me a little curveball here, and it's a $2 super chat from Rod. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. And backing that right up is my mom throwing a $2 super chat. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Mom.
It's greatly appreciated. So
what's up, Andy's mom?
I'm already 10 minutes in. I try to condense the beginning to get to the question so that it's not all drawn out and long before the first question. But in the same fashion, if I try to condense it and move too quick, I get what I got last week. And I that felt pretty rushed. And I worked really hard to condense it and to get to everybody. It's like, man, I got to slow down and pace myself a bit. But yeah, that first question, we're talking about publishers, right? And there's some new publishers hitting the scene. There's a lot of old publishers making some drastic changes that are interesting that we can talk about. So we'll go to BerkFamily first for the first question.
All right.
And when you first started collecting comic books, did you find yourself honing in on a specific publisher, or did you find yourself collecting a certain way, depending on what publishers were doing then?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you the first 2 comic books that I bought. They were not DC or Marvel. So I remember it was January of 2016. I was on yahoo.com and I saw some headlines for 2 different comic books. One that was just announced, and another one that was on its 2nd issue. The one that was just announced was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and if you didn't know, I'm a big Power Rangers guy, and they were showing all the covers for issue 0, which I have all of them except for 1 or 2, and they were beautiful. And I was like, I have to get those. And then the other one was Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And Batman was one of my favorites as a kid. And obviously I love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from the TV show and the movies. So I went out and got Batman TMNT number 2, and I had to go back online and buy number 1 because the shop I was at did not have number 1. They only had number 2. Right? Yeah, we didn't just do a show on my channel talking Power Rangers. That is true. Sorry, Johnny, my boy. No, but after so we have IDW publishing for Batman TMNT. They teamed up with DC, obviously, and then Boom Studios is doing Power Rangers, and I actually really like what they're doing, not just with Power Rangers, but like a lot of their line, because they do a lot of really, really cool variants, whether they're just regular variants or they're subscription variants or retailer incentives, all of that and more. So I really like what Boom Studios is doing. But after those, I'm a pretty big DC fan. I'm very vocal about that. I love Batman and Flash. And I think I like those the most because when I was growing up, I would watch that Justice League Super Friends TV show from the 70s. It would air every night at like 9 or 9:30 on Cartoon Network. And so I've really always liked Batman and the Flash and Justice League and all that. And so I've just been picking up Batman and Flash and then Power Rangers TMNT for like since 2016, so 4.5 years. And so I definitely say DC is what I'm drawn to, along with Boom Studios and IDW Publishing.
Interesting. I think you're one of the first people that we've talked to or that I've talked to or watched a lot of the content where you're a DC and Boom, like a DC and independent fan. I mean, there are probably a lot of them out there, but from what I've been able to absorb in content, it's kind of the minority a little bit.
Yeah,
Usually people are hardcore independent or they're a mix of Marvel and independent, right?
I definitely would say that I'm like in the middle because most everyone is either Marvel or DC or independent and Marvel. So I already know I'm in the minority. Like I was when I was getting Flash Forward, which is a story about Wally West, the store I was getting them from said I was the only one buying all the issues. And so it's just really interesting. I've always known that I'm in a minority of everything I like, whether it's Power Rangers or Ninja Turtles or whatever. I've always known that, so it's just not a big deal to me.
Well, that just means that there's fewer of those books being printed, so your collection's going to be worth more in the long run, right?
There we go. Hope so.
Well, so moving forward, the same question goes to you, LongBox. When you first started collecting, did you find yourself being, shall we say, influenced by publishers, or did you find yourself drawn to a specific publisher?
Well, I was 9, and I was a military brat. So we were in Guam, and really the only choice was Batman, Superman, X-Men, or Avengers. So I ended up collecting Marvel because I like teams. Again, the whole the Justice League TV show and the Spider-Man and Friends, everything was a team show. Right? I love the team shows. So as a kid, that's what I went for is team books. So I ended up with Marvel books, and that's what I focused on for years. I didn't collect any DC. But now recently I have moved more from publishers to creators. And so I like to follow creators. If they go to independent, I'll buy independent. I bought, like Once a Future because I like the creator. And it's from Boom, and now I've kind of moved into where I'm buying almost equal Marvel, DC, and independent. Like Upshot now. I just picked up 3 or 4 books from that because they look cool. But yeah, I'm following more creators now than I am actually publishers. So It's a little bit different.
That's good. You bring up a great point that I wonder if a lot of us have realized that. You bring up that point, and I'm starting to realize that I'm moving in that direction as well. It's kind of shocking to think about that too, because it didn't even dawn on me at all once.
I go through a lot of LongBox. That's our name, LongBox Diving. We go to a flea market, and I'll start going through here. It's not so much filling in my collection. It's going, oh, Chuck Dixon. Oh, Garth Ennis. Oh, and I'm Karen Gillan, and I'm pulling names out. Go, oh yeah, I have never heard of this. The Hickman book, I've never heard of this. Global Frequency, I don't even know what this is. It's an image book, but I grabbed it because I recognize the creator, and I'm like, it doesn't matter so much what the publisher is anymore, as I like that artist or I like that writer, and I'm grabbing it. So
interesting. So that's almost where the publishers kind of become irrelevant if the artist or writers have enough clout, or their work is that good that they can command what they need to at Image or another independent.
Right. So I like Sean Gordon Murphy, and I ended up backing his Indiegogo because I like him as an artist and a writer, with The Curse of the White Knight. So I saw he was doing plot holes. I'm like, oh, I like it. I like him. So I'll go ahead and I like it. I buy it.
That's actually an excellent point too. There's probably a lot of writers and artists that have their own websites or programs like that where you can get Kickstarter stuff through them.
Yeah.
And supporting them directly. Ooh, that could be a whole nother show we dive into. But yeah, Dustin, I'm interested because if I was a betting man, I think you're going to be a cross between what I would have to say for my collecting and what Berk has to say, I think.
Yeah. When I first started out, I was reading pretty much nothing but independent stuff. Started out reading same series Berk was talking about, with the Power Rangers, but the big series that really kind of, I think, made me a Boom Studios fan, they did the Sons of Anarchy prequel comic books that would give you the backstory before the TV show came out. And when I first started collecting, I would just jump on my Harley and go ride around. I'd throw comic shops in the GPS, set up, 5 or 6 of them on a trip and take off, and pulled up to one of the shops, and he was like, man, I got a book that I don't know. I'm sure you've seen the show, but this would probably be something up your alley. And he handed me the Sons of Anarchy Redwood original. And I was like, all right. I wasn't aware of this being a thing, but yeah, give me every one of them you got. And he only had one. So found all those and read those. And that's a Boom Studios book. So, then you start seeing solicitations for other Boom Studios books. So I started picking up on those. And then I read the Thanos miniseries, and I enjoyed that. That was the first Marvel book I read. I did read the Batman Ninja Turtles. I thought that volume 3 of that was really good. So starting out, yeah, I was really all in on independence. I was reading a lot of Boom Studios books. I was reading some Image. I was reading a lot of IDW. And then I kind of shifted, and I started picking up a lot of different Marvel stuff. I started picking up Venom and X-Men, and going back and reading back issues of X-Men and stuff that I hadn't read before, trying to kind of educate myself on the history of these books. And so that kind of, pushed me in certain directions as well. And I've recently kind of jumped on a DC kick, so I'm starting to jump into more of that. So I'm all over the place now, but I think my heart really is in the independent books. Some of the things that I really have enjoyed have been, from Boom Studios, being, Once and Future has been a great title. Something's Killing the Children's been great. I really enjoyed Folklore so far. And they've got a lot of other stuff that has been really good that I haven't read. Some of it I've read a little bit, but not as much. IDW has been really good. I know that I saw in the chat AWA, they've put out some really good books lately with the Resistance, Hotel, Red Planet. So they're really kicking. And then Mad Cave Studios, who we've become really good friends with everyone there. And Year Zero. I forgot that one. But they have some fantastic stories over at Mad Cave Studios, and we've kind of become, pretty tight knit with all those guys, and Mark London and Justin Birch, one of their main letterers. He's on our show every Saturday night, and they have such great stories, and all of their books. I have not read anything that I just was like, it's all right, or I didn't really like it. I just, everything that they put out has been really, really good. So, I definitely really enjoy the independence. As far as collectability factor of Marvel and DC are always going to have that.
Right.
Always. But I think in the independence, you always have your big two, Marvel and DC, but in your independents that, you've got what I call the big three now with Image, IDW, and Boom has really solidified themselves at this point as being a very, very top-notch independent publisher. They have been putting in a lot of work to really bring some great writers in there, and they've really been producing some awesome stuff. And so I really don't think they get enough credit sometimes, because they don't put out a bunch of junk and filler. And I mean, everything they put out seems to be something that it was well thought out, and everything was done, the right way. And it ends up being great. And now they've got this deal with Netflix, and I'm excited to see where that stuff's going to go. So,
oh yeah, I'm kind of blanking on what that deal was, but I do recall that. There's been a few Netflix.
They just basically get a first look at anything that's going to be made into a TV show or a movie. They get the first look at it and first dibs, basically, I think.
Oh, and there was the Mark Millar verse, I think. Wasn't that a Netflix shindig as well?
I think they own it all now.
Do they? Did they? Oh wow. Okay. Which there's a great point that's being brought up here that I'll get to in just a second, and I'll quick round out my deal. If for anybody that hadn't heard it last week, was I grew up Marvel, discovered Punisher on the spinner rack in a drugstore as a kid, and that was one of the first comic books I bought. I didn't even really know that comic books came out on a regular basis or understood that until I had my own part-time job and I could ride my bike to my local comic book shop and actually start a pull list. And about that time, so I was Marvel all the way up to there. About that time was 92 or 93 when Image hit. Well, you're 15, 16 years old. They put out some pretty hot covers. So you start cover buying with all your extra allowance and all your extra money. And I bought all the books, and I bought a reader copy and I brought a collector copy. And all that was for naught when I sold off that collection when I joined the military. But
made a killing on those young bloods, didn't you?
Shop owner didn't either, so maybe he is now. But I bought a ton of Image, and I was Image heavy, and I fell away from Marvel. And I never even really discovered DC until the last couple of years. And I got sour with Marvel with crossover events. I didn't want to have to pick up 6, 7, 8 titles as a kid with $10 a week to try to keep up with the story. So I steered right into Image and fell in love with Michael Turner's artwork and glorious covers and everything Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld were doing at the time. But I digress. The point being brought up by you guys was a lot of the content that they're creating in comic books and moving on to Netflix deals, TV show deals, movie deals. I remember in the 80s when a movie came out, generally it was based on a book, a well-written book that people have read and absorbed and loved. As we've gone on and technology's gotten greater, the amount of content that we process has turned into a 300 or 400 page book to smaller amounts, and we're bringing in 10, 20-minute videos, 5-minute videos. So I think this is what's perfect for the comic book community, is it's propelling that community forward, as those comic books are much shorter form content that people are willing to absorb on a week-to-week or month-to-month basis. So I think the comic book industry is primed for all of the movies and content coming out in the future to continue coming from comic books. So I think the independents are going to be a big drive in the next decade, more so than they are now.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of the point that you guys were getting at, is some of these Netflix deals and these other deals. These upstarts, these small companies are not to be missed out on these stories. Mad Cave did some great stuff. Boom's doing great stuff. Upshot, like you guys talked about, that Year Zero was finally, there's another place in the shelf or stands for a zombie story now that Walking Dead's been gone for a little bit, and we get to read it in color.
Yes.
I loved Walking Dead for what it was, but that was 14. How many years was it that we read black and white zombie stories? Basically, a lot.
I've never read an issue, so I don't know.
And this just coming in. Thank you for waiting, gentlemen. I have just remembered what the second question was after all that thought process. So I seriously forgot what the second question was for the last 25 minutes, but we'll move forward. And because this is where I'm really interested to see kind of how the dynamics change and where people end up at. So why is Siri listening to me? Go away. That's creepy. Berkman, now sitting where you're at now, after the years or months or many years that you've been collecting, what, if anything, has changed? Do you still find yourself collecting the same based on publishers, or do you find yourself in a different group or a different area?
Okay, I'm going to answer that here in just a second, but I would like everyone to take a sweet look at that saga that you just got as a grail right back behind you, right?
Speaking of independence,
I was going to say, we're talking independence right now. You just got that. Why don't you show that off, dude? That thing is sick.
So
nice.
The last 2 months, everybody knows what the world situation's been like. This was a #1 hunt list item on our grail that we never thought we'd ever do, but we've spent 2 months not eating out, not going to the bars or breweries, not buying toys for my son, just not spending money, not doing our usual regular thing. So what became an unattainable idea quickly materialized, and then it became a 2-month conversation of, should we? When should we? How do we make that happen? I mean, and then all of a sudden one came up and you make an offer and then it says, okay, now you got to pay for it. It's like, uh-oh, we got to do it now. And speaking of independence being made into series, this is one that if it probably won't, and I know that Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona said that they don't want it to, but if it ever did, this would be a stellar show, in my opinion. The technology to do it, some people say, isn't quite there yet, but
on HBO Max.
Yeah, there's a lot. No joke. If you haven't read Saga, please do. But there's a lot of porn, robot porn.
I've heard.
Nick's if he hasn't finished it yet, he's almost finished it, and I know he's just been in love with it.
So we were super lucky. Thanks for pointing that out. I mean,
I was gonna say, yeah, you were talking about what you were into. I wanted to make sure you could show off your favorite book there.
I did an unboxing of that on my own channel Tuesday. That was the most nervous I had ever been on camera opening a box in my entire life, because I'm like, don't drop it. And then I'm like, why am I dragging everybody through this? I shouldn't even be doing a video. I'll just unbox it and put it up. And I'm like, oh man, I was so nervous. Stage fright, everything. And it's done. It's just, I kind of feel guilty about buying a grail that big this early in the year. I should just save the money, and hopefully I can save back up to go to Baltimore, because as things are going, hopefully the conventions come back.
Atlanta's happening.
Yeah,
it's an investment. You're fine.
Yeah. Well, it's a 500. There's only 500 copies in the world.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's it.
That's crazy.
So, yeah. Thanks for that interruption in my thought process. I appreciate it.
I remember the question. It was, I've been collecting for the last couple of years. Have I changed, basically, or do I still collect the same things? Is what your question was.
I need that interruption sometimes, though, to break that thought process up. I appreciate it.
So, yes and no. I feel like as a collector, you kind of like do this like a lot. You know, like you're not going to pick up only the same stuff. You try out new things all the time. So I do have all 3 volumes of Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The first 2 volumes, I have each regular cover signed by the artist, Freddie E. Williams. I'm hoping to get volume 3, all of mine, signed by him as well. I have every issue of Power Rangers except for like 5 or 4, just because they like veered off outside of the regular Mighty Morphin team. So when they did that, I wasn't picking it up. But when they came back to it, obviously I've been picking it up. I have every book of Go-Go Power Rangers and every book of Batman and Flash since Flash and Batman Rebirth in 2016. So I've kind of been staying the same, but I've been picking up other things as well. Like I started to pick up more Marvel things. I did the whole Marvel Civil War #2. And I remember that was kind of a big deal. Like you said earlier, there's all these different spin-off books you had to buy. And I bought like all of them. And honestly, I didn't really like it. I thought Civil War 2 kind of sucked, if I'm honest. But there's other Marvel stuff that I like. Like me and Dustin, we both love the Thor run that's happening right now with Donny Cates. Oh, it's so good. So good. And I've tried other things too. I've tried more different independent stuff. My favorite independent story is God Country. I've said that many times on my channel. It's absolutely amazing by God Country. Dustin doesn't feel the same way as me, which is odd. But I've tried different things. I've tried different books. I picked up. I like Spider-Man, but not enough to pick it up on the regular. I did Catwoman for a while. It's a DC book. Didn't stay. I tried Aquaman, all these different things. But I would say I do still say mostly DC and then Power Rangers and Ninja Turtles, because I do pick up Nightwing and Shazam and obviously Batman and Flash and Deceased. We talked about. I have all of Deceased and some of the other miniseries or series. So
you kind of branched out a bit, but came full circle back to what you really love.
True. Yes. Absolutely.
Which is great, because if you always collect what you love, you're always going to love what you collect.
Correct. Yes. And
perfect.
And Dustin has a good motto when it comes to collecting, or his channel has a good motto. It's always collect your way, right? That's your motto.
Yeah, we do say that.
Yeah, you guys do say that. So I collect my way, and like I said earlier, I know I'm in the minority with that, and that's fine with me. I love what I collect, and that's why I do it.
Awesome. Everybody here appreciates the opinion, man, because that's the idea behind this, is you collecting your way and collecting what you love provides variety, provides something different, and helps open up everybody's eyes that, I'm probably going to pick up because of you and Dustin, I'm probably going to pick up a Mighty Morphin's Power Ranger trade and start reading at some point and pick it up and hey, I'm either going to really like it, or I'm at least going to appreciate being drawn to it. You know what I mean?
There you go. I will say really quickly before you go to the next person, Punisher is probably my favorite or second favorite Marvel character. And if you've not watched the Punisher TV show on Netflix, you are missing out. That show is absolutely amazing.
They finally got the casting right.
Yes.
And then they did that dirty number on everybody.
They did.
And pulled all of them. But God, we could do a whole nother show on that at some point too. I got notes. So yeah, LongBox, rolling on to you next. I'm really interested to hear this, because I feel like you got a little bit longer of a history going on in collecting. So I'm wondering if you've done something similar, or if things have changed drastically for you.
Well, you start at 9, right? So I had allowance, so I could afford 2. And that's what I could afford. And then, by 14, I was living in Japan, and I was doing newspaper routes for the military guys. So, and by the way, Sunday morning at the Midway, the aircraft carrier is the best place to sell a newspaper, because they'll hand you a 20 to tell you to keep the change. So, and then of course you picked the newspapers at the PX, which is where they sold the comics. So I would go in and buy my comics at the same, and get the stuff. And, but I bought team books because I like team books. I didn't really get into JLA. We didn't have that. I had Batman or Superman or X-Men and Avengers. So I bought that side of it. Of course, getting to college, that kind of went away. And I just had this, the stuff. I maintained 1 or 2 comics here and there. Becoming, getting married, I got picked it back up and then had a baby and went back down again, because you're paying for other things, and comics are not the most important. So you get 1 or 2 things. And again, it's the things I loved, because I've been collecting for 20 years. Now, I'm at a point where I'm buying not just what I love. I buy 2 ways now. I buy all new books and mostly the things I like. So, and then I buy things on recommendation, like Last Gods was recommended to me. Folklords was recommended. Once the Future is recommended. So I watch some of those videos and I see things that are recommended. I'm like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. I can afford it now. I'm older, and I can take a chance on buying a $4 book that may be bad, but somebody recommended it. I'll try it. And then some of those things did my pull list. Some of the things don't. And the other way I collect is we go to flea markets or different comic book stores. I travel around the country. I take the wife on vacations, and we go to a place that has a big flea market. She doesn't know this. But we get the nice hotel and stuff, and then she gets to go shopping, and I'll go to the flea market for like hours. and I collect by artist, by who I like, and I fill in some runs, because I'm filling in some older Uncanny. I went to a place in North Virginia, and I found some like older Uncanny books. They had like $14, a 32, and Uncanny X-Men like 32 for like $14. It's just the guy had a huge collection sitting at the bottom, like in a warehouse. He was renting the room upstairs. I'm like, then I bought old fill-ins, but most part I'm buying, the guys, the writers and creators I like, like Donnie Cates. Now I've been finding some older stuff that are his. I read God Country here recently. because I liked what he did with Thor, or not with Thor, but with Venom and things of that sort. I'm like, oh, I like what he did there, so I'm going to grab it here. And so it's introduced me into other things, other publishers, just because of who the artist is or who the creator is, things of that sort. So now I just collect two ways. I collect what I like and recommendations, and then I collect people, writers and creators.
Well, there's something else important that you mentioned earlier is you have a little bit less risk involved when you're buying a lot of the newer stuff, because you have a family member that will go in and grab and bag and board what you might not want, but then what they're into, right?
Yeah, I've gone like on Facebook Marketplace and bought a box for $50. Some guy's like, hey, I got a box for $50 that somebody paid me in comics. I'm like, well, I'll take it off your hands for $50. I did find a Wolverine Volume 2, #1 in there, signed by Chris Claremont, by the way, which was really good. That one I kept. But, I've got now 2 kids are adults. They're, not involved anymore. But I got a 16-year-old, I got a 12-year-old, and they'll come help bag and board. And my daughter really loves to grab any girl comic books, like Wonder Woman, Birds of Prey, Huntress, Catwoman. Oh, well, there's some Catwoman I won't let her have because they're expensive. But there's others out here. She's like, Catwoman, here, go take it. And so now she's starting her collection, and she'll go to the comic store with me, and she'll grab a book. She's allowed to buy 1 book every week we go. But she's starting her own little collection that she reads through them. I was like, you got to read this, because we're not just buying to put it in a box. You're going to read it. But she really enjoys that. So now I've got a lot of help. You see, that's all still got to be bagged and boarded over there. But yeah, we end up buying a lot of comics now. So it's a hobby, and we had fun with the kids. It was mostly getting the family, doing family things together. It's what that started as. But yeah, we have fun with it.
Yeah, it's bagging and boarding. It's a ton of work. I spent the last 2 days bagging and boarding. I bought 5 or 6 short boxes from a buddy of mine last year and just put them off in the corner and never dealt with it. And then this week I came to the realization of something similar. It's like, well, this doesn't have to fit into the PC. I can rebag and reboard these, throw them in the box on the side for my son.
Yep.
Just let him start tearing through them and reading and enjoying those, because how else is he going to discover it? It's going to have to be those Wednesday trips to the local comic book shop. But
exactly. Now, I did do this. I took a pack of 100 boards and a pack of 100 bags, and I gave each of the 16-year-old and the 12-year-old. I said, first one done with 100 gets $10.
Oh,
they said, yeah, but they were bagging board like crazy. They got all those bags and boards already set up, so all I had to do was slide a comic in. That was great.
How many comics got ripped? Or no, they weren't putting the comics in?
No, they weren't putting the comics in. They just had to put the bag and board together, so it's just me sliding comics in later. Yeah, they got done. It was like 5 minutes, man. They were just blowing through it.
Ooh, nice. Wow, that's money well spent.
And it'll cost me $10.
That's pretty good. So, Dustin, that question rolls on to you next, man. Are you finding yourself in a similar situation, or do you find yourself departed completely?
Well, yes and no. So I have journeyed out on several different types of collecting. When I first started out, I don't really consider what I was doing necessary. I don't think I was actually worried about the collecting as much as I just wanted to read certain stories. And, I wasn't buying back issues. I wasn't buying keys. I wasn't worried about any, I thought to me, it was crazy that I would walk into a shop and see people pay $50 for a comic book, for 1 book. I'm like, do you know how many books I can buy for $50? And you're buying 1 for $50. And then I started finding out that people are buying these for $50 and then selling them for $200 in a couple of weeks. And I'm like, okay. So I started understanding the whole thing with speculation. So me and Nick tried to play the speculation game for a very, very short period of time. And we were horrible at it. Very, very, very bad at it. And it did not take us long to decide, nope, not for us. This is not, it's not fun, number one. Because I'm not worrying about the books I would like to buy and I would like to read as much as I'm worried about, how I can make money. And I'm like, well, this is just killing the fun of the hobby for me. I'm not enjoying it. So I completely steered away from it. And we have both stuck to that. When Batman 89 came out, the only reason I was mad because I thought I wasn't going to get a copy is because I was reading the series and I didn't have Batman on my pull list because it was just one I would pick up on my short week, on my light week, because it was always available. And so I got out of the speculation stuff and just got back to just buying the books I wanted to read. And then from there, I started really diving into variant covers and ratio covers. And then I started buying anything I get my hands on. Clayton Crane did. He was one that I really, really liked. And that got to be where I was just like, well, I've got a bunch of books now that I bought that I like the cover on, but they sit in the box now because it's not even a series I'm reading. So I stopped doing that. If Clayton Crane does a cover for a book I'm reading, awesome, I will buy it. But even if I like the cover art, for the most part, I'm just going to admire it in the shop and leave it there. Then I jumped in and found out about Facebook auctions.
Oh, yeah.
And that got hairy for me.
Yeah.
Me and Nick actually did Facebook auctions ourselves for a while, just trying to make enough money that we could pay for our pull list every month. And we did good for a little while. And then it got to the point where we were just not doing good anymore. And we still got about 300 books sitting over here in a corner that we just couldn't sell. I mean, they're just, filler issues for different things. And, some old Charlton Comics, Dell stuff, that people just weren't wanting to buy. So we got out of that. But when I was buying those, I would get on kicks. And that's where I started buying some back issues. I've got almost an entire run of Web of Spider-Man over here, and it sits in a box, and that box is on the floor, and it doesn't get opened. It doesn't get cracked. I'm not a Spider-Man fan, like, at all, really. So I'm like, I ended up with a few issues, and I was like, oh, I like these covers. Like, let me start collecting, try to put a run together. So then I got into the putting runs together collecting. And then I ended up with a bunch of books. I mean, hundreds of books that I don't intend to really read. I was just collecting them so I could say I had the run. And so I rethought everything. And I'm like these books they're not going to, there's no value, as far as like, they're not going to, go up in value. So I'm not going to make, there's no reason for me to think I'm going to make a bunch of money on them later. I don't have any intentions of reading them. I literally just put a run together because I had some of the other ones already. And so I stopped doing that. And now I'm at a point where I'm still just buying the books that I want to read every month. But I was talking to somebody and they were asking me about my Silver Age collection. I was like, yeah, I got a couple. And so I go picking through my boxes thinking that I had a couple, and I had none. Had no Silver Age. And that kind of bothered me because I was like, man, like, I really would like to have some, Silver Age comics. Like, that's the history, that's like, where everything that I'm reading and the stuff that I'm enjoying, like that's where this came from. There's so many, great artists and writers and characters and books and stuff that I'm missing out on. So I fell in love with Jack Kirby and dove in hard to Captain America. And I have been buying some. So yeah, I know, right? I'm sitting here looking at the screen and I missed it on my own shirt.
I do it too.
So, I've been buying a bunch of Silver Age Captain America, Submariner. I've got a couple Fantastic Four. And that has changed my mind from where I thought people were crazy, like I said earlier, for buying a book for $50. And, I've bought Captain America 100, 109. I've got the first Silver Age appearance of Red Skull, Avengers 16. I bought a Submariner #1. So, I don't feel so crazy about $50 anymore. I would love to buy some of these keys for $50 and get the books that I'm getting now. But, so yeah, my collecting habit has went up and down and this way and that way, but I've really stayed true the whole time to buying, with the books that I'm going to read. I make sure that I do buy the books that I'm interested in the stories in. And I've got a lot of that. They're not books that I can, ever expect to just shoot through the roof in price. And I'm fine with that because the stories were so good in them and I really enjoyed it. But then at the same time, I do have some of these keys and this Silver Age history that I can flip through and look at and read. And there again, I'm able to dive into some of the history in comic books that I missed because I wasn't collecting in the 60s. I was born in 89. But, you know, I've only been collecting a few years, so there's a lot I've missed out on. And, you know, I want to know so much more. And like I said, it's just, so now that's where I'm at now. I'm really particular, I guess, about what I buy outside of my pull list.
And that's, to be fair, this is kind of a trick question, right? Because we buy what we love and we love what we buy. Well, you know, love what you collect. But as individuals, we're constantly changing. Therefore, what we like should technically be changing to some degree as well. So it's kind of a trick setup question a little bit. I didn't think about that last week, but listening to you guys, I'm like, yeah, that's right, because we're always kind of changing.
Yeah, I mean, like I've never been a fan of zombies. Like,
oh,
you know,
dude, I love me some
Me
zombies.
too.
I don't know, and I know I'm like in the very, very small percentile of people that could care less for them. I've just always thought, like, really, like they come back to life, you have to cut their head off. Like,
I
it's
grew
just
up
silly.
watching George A. Romero movies, so I mean,
Okay, yeah. So, and it's not like that I find them scary. It's just not interesting. But then I read Deceased, and I'm like, yes, you know. So now I'm like I've never read The Walking Dead, never watched The Walking Dead, you know, none of that. And
Marvel Zombies, skip the whole thing.
yeah, I'm not reading Marvel Zombies, but you know, The Deceased kind of opened my mind up to that a little bit. And that's another thing, I guess, you know, with Nick, he reads things I don't read, and he would read something and say, you should read this. I'm not reading that. That don't look like I would be into it at all. And then 6 months later, when I finally read it, I'm like, damn, why didn't I read this when you told me? Like, so, you know, Canto is one of those. I didn't read Canto when it came out, and I was mad because I started reading it right when issue 6 came out, and I loved it. And so now I'm a lot more open to picking up something that even if I don't really think I'll be into it, I'll give it a try anyway, because I've surprised myself and been surprised by recommendations from other people too. So I guess that's another way that I've changed a little bit too.
Well, yeah, and we can look at it this way now. Technology's come 20-fold in the last 20 years. So it's a lot less concerning, or it's a lot less troubling to try out a book for that first story arc, then take that 5 or 6 book story arc and be like, hey, I paid full cover price for this. Can somebody give me $15? If you get 80% of that cover purchase back, there are tons of people out there that love buying those sets and love buying those story arc runs. And because it's a new, once read book, and it still has potential to be clean pressed or put up to a 9698 and near mint, people are getting their money back on a lot of these runs, these little story arcs. So it's a lot more comforting to go in, buy Canto, unless you get the huge printing issues that Canto had. But I digress. Buy that run, read it, love it, keep it, don't love it. Hey, let me find a community member on YouTube that I can A-OK that to, or that wants to buy that for half off or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a whole nother show topic too, actually. But I sold off my whole collection when I joined the Marine Corps, because that comics do not travel. And at some point when you leave the bird's nest, your stuff's got to follow you. So I bounced that around from storage unit to storage unit, and I realized I'm 22 at the time. I'm like, let me take these to a comic shop. How much do you want for these? Give you $40. Well, that's $40 worth of beer. Sure. Oh, man. Oh, and I had some of the really hard to find Michael Turner stuff. And so moving forward, I got back into the hobby again at a very difficult time in my life, where my wife and I were told that we could never have kids. So when you get a delivery like that of information, you shut down, and then you recoup after a week, and then you realize, well, what are we going to do for the next 5 or 10 years? You start coming up with another life plan, like drastically change your life plans. And we're like, well, let's see about doing this. Well, let's get back into some hobbies, because, you know, we love each other, but we're ain't going to need some time to do our own thing in the house, right? So let me get back into comic books. And I go to my LCS, and I walked right up and said, I haven't seen you guys in a long time. It's great to see you. What should I be reading right now? It's that first thing they pointed me to. Saga. picked up that trade, brought it home, opened up to the first 2 pages. And for anybody that's never read Saga, those first 2 pages are going to smack you right in the face. And it is essentially a childbirthing page or 2. So I took that book and threw it right across the room, right into the wall.
I
Like,
think I would.
the universe is just taking a giant dookie right on my face. And I would just chuck that thing right across the room. And I think it was maybe 2 weeks later, we found out we were pregnant.
Wow.
So that story just intertwined with me and my family in our life. And I've been collecting every part of it that I can get. So I started as a huge Marvel fan, huge Image fan after that. And I've really fallen into independence. Marvel's kind of bringing me back with a lot of the Star Wars stuff. Now that we've shaken off that stink of the first 3, the Phantom Menace and those other movies, and it's been a long while since those have been out.
Those were the best ones.
I watched them today. They're terrible.
That's the only ones I like.
That's a whole other show. But they're pushing hard on Star Wars stuff. Marvel's kind of bringing me back over to more Marvel for that stuff. I've always collected the Punisher stuff, and I've dipped my toes a little bit here and there in Marvel. But I've really been in the indies. And I just realized after LongBox was talking that I've been big into indies, not because I like the indies, but because I'm following the writers and the artists. And I didn't even think about that. Like Lemire. I'm starting to realize I followed Lemire from just about everywhere now.
Remender.
Who did who published Black Hammer? Was that Dark Horse?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So yeah, Dark Horse, Image with Gideon Falls, and what'd you say, Ender?
Remender.
And then there's just I'm really starting to realize that my collecting's just evolved into a 3D plane that I didn't even know existed of following writers and artists like that. Because I was gonna close this question out with where I was more indies and still a little bit Marvel, but really, like you said, I'm starting to follow the artists and writers more. And I think I have to attribute that to the Monday Night Modern Men show on Comic Corp, where we're reading something that everybody in the community's voted on. And when they vote on it, this is going to be a good segue. We close that every Thursday night because that's what we do on Thursday nights, Modern Men. And Thanos has won our community vote with 45 votes, actually. I'll just bring that up to 40% there. So we're going to read Thanos Wins Monday night. I think that's Donnie Cates, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's closed. I'm going to type that in right now. Closed. There's a pun in there somewhere. I wish I could remember it. But yeah, so Modern Men, I really have to thank Carson and Drew and JB at Discovery Bay, who's no longer with us regularly, but they were kind of a driving force to branch out and try different things, which has really developed my collecting into where it is now with following writers and artists. Man, like I didn't know the Darth Vader run was out there from Kieran Gillen's Darth Vader run from 2014 or 2015 with Dr. Aphra and those 2 murder droids. I fell in love with that run. And
Nick loved it.
It's catching a lot of heat. And I was like, oh man, I'm finding out so late. I should have read this earlier. And there's
that new Darth Vader run is pretty good so far. I've been enjoying it.
That's why I ran out and bought all the Dr. Aphra stuff Wednesday. So I want to read that run. That's one of the few Star Wars characters that has never appeared in a movie or a show that continues to get ongoing runs. This is her second ongoing run, I think now, which is kind of surprising, which is kind of interesting too, right? When you think about it, but that's kind of where I'm at. And we're at the 54-minute mark here. So we closed out Modern Men. We're reading Thanos Wins by Donnie Cates this Monday. I'm really looking forward to that because we read a Thanos book last week, and it was the first 6 issues. I'm going to read the next 6 issues and close out that portion and then roll into Thanos Wins. But let's see here. I think we got time for one more question right around because this won't be too bad or in depth really. But I'm really interested to know I mean, now that things are changing, hopefully things continue to go better for the world and things continue to kind of right themselves and we kind of get out of this stay-at-home funk, and hopefully people are not impacted anymore and everybody's becoming healthy and staying healthy. I really want to know what you guys are looking forward to and what you guys are excited about coming from publishers coming down the pipeline, because I got to step foot in my LCS for the first time in 2 months this past Wednesday. Michigan shut everything down right up front before a lot of other places did. Shut them down. Didn't even get business owners a chance to mitigate their way safely through situations, or at least try to find a safer way to stay open and take care of customers. Like, they weren't even allowed to do curbside. They completely shut them down and said, you can't even go to your business. So 2 weeks ago, they were able to start curbside again. Last week, this past Wednesday, I was able to step foot in there with some restrictions. This is great. I've loaded my arms up and said, yep. And I took everything I wanted to take and walked out that door.
Nice.
Supermarket sweep on the comic book store.
Exactly. So we'll go to you first, Berk. It's been a while since we hit you up here. I'm really interested in knowing is what's on the forefront, or what are you paying attention to? Are you grabbing that previews book? Are you looking at some shows or websites? What are you scoping in on, if you will?
So I honestly, I look at a lot of new stuff that's coming out from Newsarama and comicbook.com. That helps me kind of see what's happening. And a lot of times I honestly don't even see it until I go to a social media and see their posts about it. And I click on it and I read the article or story or preview of it. I'm pretty excited about a few things coming out. We got some new Power Ranger books coming out. We got a Ranger Slayer book and Lord Draken coming out. We got, apparently someone said in here, we got Null versus the Avengers coming out. And I know that Null it's a character that Donny Cates has just been building and building and building since issue 3 of Venom. And that first 6 issues that he wrote is amazing. And so if that is actually what's happening, and I actually think they should have done it a long time ago, because that's a really good character that they should be building to. And so I'm really looking forward to that if that actually comes out. We got Joshua Williamson ending his run on Flash, which I'm sad about, but his whole run has been really good. I'm interested to see if the 5G event actually happens with DC. And because I know that they got rid of, what is that guy's name that they got rid of?
Somebody in the chat help us out.
It was their CEO or whatever. Gosh, what is that guy's name?
Because
Didio.
Dan Didio. So, and I know he was been the micromanager of the whole DC line for years, and that was kind of why they got rid of him. And I also heard that AT&T didn't really like the whole 5G events. So I want to know if they're actually going to end up doing that, because they're changing characters for Batman and all these different people. So I want to know if that's happening or not. If it does happen, I'll probably read it, because I am more of a DC person. But I don't know. I'm really interested just to see where comics goes in the next year or two, because it does seem like you said, indies are taking over more. People are reading those a lot more than they had been other things, just because a lot of the bigger lines like Marvel and DC are doing a lot of events with a lot of tie-ins. So I don't know. That's what I'm looking forward to in the next year or so.
Okay, so maybe can you explain that 5G event a little bit more? Because the first time I heard that, I thought it was somebody playing a hoax or somebody playing a joke on me that they would do a 5G comic book event. Who owns DC? Does AT&T or somebody larger like that own DC?
Warner Brothers to AT&T, yeah.
Yeah, so
okay.
AT&T is essentially similar. It's kind of I would put that similar to ESPN, ABC, and Marvel, just all being owned by the same company. And so, but AT&T, according to what I've been reading online, I guess it's hard to know if it's true. They have been not as prone to making sure comics keep existing, because what they could do is they could just send all their comics that they want to keep printing, Batman, Justice League. They could send us to the lower IDW and Mirage and all the other ones, and have them write it, because like a lot of those, like IDW, I think is doing like a Spider-Man run right now. Like they could have these other companies that are already printing comics print theirs.
Huh.
So in terms of the 5G event, what they're doing is they're doing like a history of the DC line, and they're actually resetting it to where Wonder Woman is supposedly the first superhero in the DC continuity, and then Superman, and they're going through all these different stages, you know, from like the Silver Age to like Bronze and to even to the New 52, and then now the Rebirth. They're going to do all these different variations where they keep adding characters, and characters are changing, and then the 5G, the 5th generation, is where they're changing who is Batman, who is the successors to all of these characters.
Right. So not Bruce Wayne. It's going to be some other person is now Batman, because it kind of went through.
It's supposed to be Lucius Fox's son.
Right. It inherited the Batman title or mantle. So all the heroes will change like that. I heard it was just a 12-issue miniseries, or maybe like the 52 run.
Only a miniseries, not a complete takeover, because I would be reading something that did not have Bruce Wayne as Batman or Nightwing.
Miniseries, and it was supposed to be a short, whether it's not like a max where it's 52 issues or 12 issues, but I didn't hear it was all the whole lines were supposed to still be staying there. So you still have your normal Batman comics. All that would still be there. It would just be another thing.
Oh, it'd be an addition.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
That's what I heard, but
that's good to hear.
Why would you want to alienate most of your reader basis and do a full Yeah, I get. Yeah.
I mean, you're putting all these movies out, and then you change all the characters. It's like
I've always heard this about comics and movies and characters. People think they want change, but they don't actually want change. They just want to make it feel like there was a small change, but they want the same thing over and over. They want their same character to always win, and they want it to be that exact same character. They want Clark Kent to fall in love with Lois Lane, all that stuff. They may think they want something changed, something different. They don't.
That's a good point, actually.
So there's my long answer for all that.
Thanks. I appreciate that, because honestly, I thought the whole 5G thing was kind of I wasn't quite sure, and it's a DC thing, so I wasn't digging very deep to learn more. But that helps out a lot, actually. And rolling forward, same question to you, LongBox. Because you've got your ear kind of tuned to independence and some of the other areas that not a lot of other people do. Have you seen anything, or is there anything in previews or coming up on any websites that really excites you over the next few months?
nothing super new. I mean, everything I was really excited about, I was excited back in March.
Okay.
So it's still like everything got postponed. So
that's a good point.
You know, like death metal, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, I like Snyder's stuff. So I'm looking for death metal. Thor run with Donny Cates. I'm really enjoying that. So I got hooked on Folklords, which has been really pretty good. Last God, I've been looking forward to that. That looks really good. And then some of the stuff from AWA, but there are only 5 issues, right? So Year Zero and Red Border and Archangel, you forgot that one too. All that stuff is looking cool, and I've been reading it. Like Straczynski is really the name that got me into that. J. Michael Straczynski, if you remember, he did Spider-Man way back 9/11. I still have that black cover from Amazing Spider-Man where he wrote that.
Yep.
And so I was like, I saw that name, I pulled it off the shelf and read it. Resistance. So then I went back and got the others, and now I'm grabbing like Year Zero because of he got me into that line. But there are only 5 issues, so I'm looking forward to see what they're going to do after this. Hotel, after all these things, they're only miniseries. So what are they going to do afterwards? So that's kind of got me excited because they've been hitting all the spots with the books they've got out now. They're really good. So what are they going to do next? So that's kind of, I'm looking at that.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm a little worried too about what's not going to survive as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of people got pencils down. We don't know what got delayed, what got stopped. Did Didio got fired? So is 5G even coming? What's the changes going to happen over there? I don't know. So I'm waiting now to see what's getting dropped, what's getting cut. Can the comic publishers even afford to publish everything they did before? Is it going to take another 6 months to ramp back up to where they were as they rebuild? I don't know. So we'll see.
I want to say one thing really quick, Andy.
Yeah.
I forgot to say. I want to know what I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with Wally West going forward because he's supposed to be getting Dr. Manhattan's powers and a new comic book day lead into the 5G event. I remember reading, at least, it was supposed to be coming out. And if you've been following my channel, you know that I'm a big Wally West fan. And he's been kind of like shoved to the side for a long time. And they brought him back for Titans and in his own series as well. And Tom King kind of ruined him in Heroes in Crisis. But I'm interested to see how like big of like a player he is going forward in the DC.
Flash Forward was good.
I loved it.
And when he sat in the Mobius chair, I was like, what?
Right? Yes.
I'm going to get nuts.
Yes, I thought the same thing.
Yeah. It's there's going to be a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions that need to be answered over the next couple of months, no doubt at all whatsoever. Hopefully things turn out for the best, but yeah, we're obviously going to definitely be paying attention to that as we go forward. But same question to you, Dustin, because you got your ear to the grindstone, bro. I mean, you and Nick have been talking to creators from Boom Studios, from a lot of other places. So there's probably some things that you've heard and maybe you can share with us that the community hasn't heard. But what are you excited about, man?
So I just saw some notes real quick that I didn't hit on real quick. I just and I think LongBox hit on it earlier with all these tie-ins. Like that was one thing that turned me off with Marvel, I think, was all these tie-ins. Like with X-Men, I'm not reading any X-Men books now because I can't afford to buy 14 different X-Men books, every month or whatever. And also the page quality, the book quality, the physical paper quality.
Yeah.
When you go from like a Boom Studios comic to a Marvel or a DC, there's a big difference there a lot of times too. And that's something that really, really turns me on to these indies a lot of times, because they put that little extra effort in that makes a big difference. But moving on to your question, so there are some really cool stuff coming out, especially out of Mad Cave Studios. We talked to Mark and those guys a good bit, and that's all I don't know what we're allowed to and not to say, so I don't want to get in any trouble with them, but they do have some cool stuff coming out. And some of the books that I am looking forward to that Over the Ropes, the last issue of that is going to be coming out soon. Hellfighter Quinn had just kicked off. We just got issue 1. So I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes as well. I'm hoping that they bring Shows In back at some point. I know that there's another big series that they have that is going to be coming back. And I don't know if it's going to be this year, but it is coming back. I'm looking forward to seeing if Folklords continues. Once in Future is definitely continuing. And in the last issue, we got a new villain that I was so stoked about when I saw the last page and saw who it was. I was just so pumped up about that. Something's Killing the Children is getting continued. Yep. I'm pumped about that. And I'm reading this King of Nowhere, and I still don't know if I'm all in or not, but it has definitely got me intrigued enough that I'm going to continue buying it until I just am at the point where I'm like, I don't understand what's going on, or I really understand and I don't care, or I don't like it. But I'm at the point now where I definitely am intrigued enough to continue reading it. It's just interesting. It's an interesting book. It's pretty cool. So I'm interested in seeing where that goes. I'm trying to think what Marvel books I read. Thor, definitely. Savage Avengers. Absolutely love Savage Avengers. That was probably one of the first Marvel books I really picked up on every single month and was just continuously reading. Savage Bastards, that's another one from Mad Cave. That's really, really good. We've had we've had the writer for that one on there. We've had the letterer and I think the illustrator too. And those guys are awesome. They really do a good job on that book as well. And for DC, I'm reading Batman, so hopefully that continues to elevate as it has ever since they got rid of ever since King stepped down. Or they got rid of him, however that went.
That was a nice way of saying it.
Yeah. So, hopefully that continues to elevate in the direction that it has, because it definitely has. I've been enjoying that as well. And yeah, that's it, man. Like I said, a lot of Boom Studio stuff I'm reading right now that I just look forward to continuing to read. I would love to see them come back and revisit Deceased and actually have like full closure on that series after reading it this weekend. I'm like, okay, that's not going to work for me. That's not a good enough ending. Superman is still out here somewhere and things are dying and we've got to kill Superman somehow or somehow bring everybody back. This has got to have some kind of an ending that is better than what you gave us. Right. So I would love to see that come back.
I'm afraid they're going to make it digital.
So that's something that's come up too, is that they were some of the titles that they were going to drop. They're going to continue on digital. I don't know that they've really had time to prepare to make that shift. It's only been 2 months, and I think people were digging in for the long haul. And I think maybe they may have spoken a little soon, because if they're already shipping new comic books, and I was already back in my LCS yesterday or Wednesday, yesterday. Why wouldn't we get right back to things as normal, except for a 2-month delay? I don't know. That's some speculation there. One more question for you, though, Dustin. This is the most important one of the night. What did 50 Cent do when he got hungry?
I'm trying so hard.
LongBox has heard this one. Go ahead, man.
58.
Hell yeah. terrible
joke of the year.
I'm trying so hard to rack my brain at where you're going, because I'm like, I know what he's doing, but I can't. I don't know.
I know you guys got some great giveaways that are coming up here soon in the future. I'm going to do a community giveaway at some point. I'm going to have to do another dad joke contest just because of the hilarity that involved. And I'm hoping to get a ton of people. I don't care if people copy and paste and bring it over, but at some point I'll do another one of those, and hopefully we get a lot of people involved in that, because that was just a hilarious ride.
Oh, we had a ball with it on our show.
Yeah. So that really wraps up the questions that I had in mind. And we're over the hour. So once again, we'll shout out the Hero Initiative, heroinitiative.org. The link is in the description below. Please check them out. Please check out their merchandise section. Check out some of those panels that you can do with writers and artists. And they're actually doing some classes in there too, some comic book writing classes. That have quite a few spots open and available for that. Check that out. They would appreciate it. We would appreciate it, because it gives back to all those creators then in their time of need. And if any of them are in a time of need, now could be it. So every donation plays a role and makes it's felt, and it's genuinely appreciated by that group of people. So yeah, let's roll right into closing things out. And Berk, where can people find you? What do you have going on? Congratulations again on hitting 800 last night. And what's up?
I have lots of unboxings I'm going to be doing in the next couple of days. I have some books I just got back. It's going to be coming on Saturday, it says, that I'm going to be unboxing that I had pressed. I have some pretty big books. There's a book behind you, actually 2 books behind you that I sent to be pressed. I cracked one of them just because I want a higher grade. There's 5 of them. They're key issues. I'm going to be unboxing those. And then a couple days after that, I'm going to be doing another show with the same books and a few more, guessing the grades before I send them into CGC. I have a mystery box unboxing I'm doing. I'm going to do a comic book room updates. I'm going to be doing some top picks for New Comic Book Day next week. I got lots of stuff coming on my channel. Lots of Power Rangers talk on my channel. We got a Thursday night chat. We always do. So I'm excited about the stuff coming up for sure.
Very cool. Thanks, man. Yeah, I wish I could catch the Thursday night more often. I usually work right up until like 9 p.m. and I'm running home to get logged in and get set up to do Andy Given Thursdays and hang out. So I have to watch on the replay.
I hear you.
For everybody in the chat and everybody watching on the replay, please be sure to hit up Berk Family's channel and watch every single one of his videos from start to finish and help push his viewer hours up so that when he hits 1,000, he's got that viewership down as well. So I think
Yeah.
you're about halfway there, right?
I'm halfway to the 4,000 hours watched, but I'm at 800 subscribers. I don't know how that works, but that's just the way it is, I guess. And I do have a new show coming out this coming Tuesday. It's going to be a weekly show, so I'm excited about that one.
Ooh, cool. Can you share anything about that with us, or are you going to leave it as a
Weekly show with a different person on every single week.
Okay?
I'll say that much.
Very cool. All right, so right on to you, Longbox man. Get everybody watching. He's only just a few subs away from 300. Let's get him past 300 tonight. By the time you wake up tomorrow morning, I'm hoping you're over 300.
Then I'm going to make it
going on next?
All right, so we're going to do. We'll end up doing a 300 giveaway. We do a lot of haul videos, not a lot, but we do some haul videos. We do the old fogey and the young whippersnapper. We review new comics together, me and my son. So we get the old man's point of view and the young kid's point of view, and they're not always the same. Sometimes they're, but they're not. We do some old comic story arc reviews. So if you have an old story arc that you've like missed back in the 80s, and we'll end up doing a review kind of thing over that whole story arc. And then on Sundays, we do judging a book by its cover. If you ever played Cards Against Humanity, then you know how to play this game. It's just got a comic twist to it. So what is the book about? Based solely on the cover. And then we judge and we vote, and the winner gets their caption and that cover put on Instagram with a shout out from me. So it's not much, but it's something.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sounds like a ton of fun, man.
Oh, I end up in tears. I've never won, but I end up in tears every Sunday night. So it's hilarious.
I've played Cards Against Humanity a few times, so imagine mixing up comic books with that. It sounds like a riot. And
now YouTube has some rules. So like Jay Blitz will put some things in there in the chat, and it just gets deleted. There's nothing I can do about that, Jay Blitz. I'm sorry.
Well, we all know
Don't
too much.
not Jay Blitz.
Yeah, Jay Blitz and Rod the Rican and those guys on that show, they push the boundaries and they have a good time as well. So yeah, anything else, Longbox?
No, that's it. I mean, we have fun on that drawing show. I'll be on there, I think, next Tuesday doing crayons or something like that. I don't know what we're doing.
That's a good time. I love watching that. So I'm hoping you wake up to 300 plus subscribers tomorrow. That'd be awesome. Everybody help them out. If you're already subscribed to them, find a couple of friends or a couple of people that aren't subscribed to them and spread the word. So moving along, speaking of people that are just shy. Oh, yeah. Boy Who Had 7 just walked in. Thanks for stopping in. Thanks for the thumbs up. Speaking of subscribers, I think Longbox is actually at like 11 away from 300. And I think it was Dustin. You guys are 3 away from 900, right?
Yeah, something like that. 2 or 3. Yeah.
So let's get Longbox past 300 and let's get you guys past 900 by tomorrow morning. That'd be great if everybody can share that word, spread that out, and make that happen. What do you guys have coming up next? You and Nick.
Yeah, so we do our top picks every week where we just do our top 5 picks, not based on speculation or anything like that. It's purely based on books that we're enjoying, books that we really like for, the art, for the stories and that sort of thing. So that's always up every week. I started a new series where I asked people to comment on the video a superhero they would like to see me shop for obscure items on eBay for. So every episode, I'll be shopping on eBay for the most obscure, outlandish items. For the first one was Flash. And so I buy that item, I review that item. And then for the next video, if your character is the one that gets picked, you get the item from the last video. I'll send it to you for free. So there's a giveaway there too. And we're going to see what kind of weird stuff we can find attached to comic book characters. And so that's going to be fun. I've got some CGC videos coming up where I've got a stack of books that I'm planning on sending 5 of to CGC. So I'm looking for comments and suggestions on what the community thinks on that. And then I'm going to do a review on CGC's new shipping kits. And I'm going to check that out and show that off. And then I'm going to package up the 5 books, send them off, and hopefully they come back with some good grades for that. We do our Saturday Night Babylon. We always do a top 10 list on that show. And it's always fun because everybody in the chat hates us. Maybe they agree with one of us, or maybe they hate all of us for how we work those top 10s, but it's always fun. Everybody has a good time. We have writer extraordinaire and toy collector Justin Birch. He's a really good friend of ours, and we enjoy having him on there. We talk comic book news, show off stuff we've got. That's every Saturday, except this Saturday it's going to be a little different because Nick's on vacation. But yeah, we're throwing stuff out all the time. We have a good
really
time.
quick. Chaos and Comics stopped in and had a great comment. So I wanted to ask your eBay search for items for superheroes. What were the names of the 2 superheroes that Jay and Silent Bob played? Chaos and Comics? Help us out with that. All right. Leave that right there then. All right. So going back to you, Dustin.
Holy crap.
Finish.
Some of these comments are out of this world.
I know, right?
Yeah.
This is why I love this show. I love this chat and I love the community because this stuff is hilarious.
Well, I've got one video up in that series right now. So if you want to go watch that and then comment a superhero you'd like me to shop for in the next video, I'm going to be shooting that one this coming week. So I do see all the comments. So go drop a superhero name in the comments there. And here we go with this guy.
Oh, Bob, thank you for stopping in, man.
My 2 favorite people in the entire world, not just this community, the world, Chaos and Bubs, were able to come and hang out. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you.
Those guys are a riot. And of course, Bearded Comic Bro.
Oh, look at it. It's Greg, the future winner of the Quarantine Trivia Madness Championship. This guy's already got the crown. It's over.
Let's plug that really quick. We're down to Chaos and Comics versus Bearded Comic Bro, and that's happening next Tuesday, 10 p.m. I think it is, on Bruce and Stephanie's channel, which is going to be a riot to see them go head to head because it's going to be a race to can hit the button faster. Smash that button faster. And
I got word that there might be some really interesting prelims to that as well, featuring a couple guys that everybody loves to see fight and bicker with each other. And
I wonder who.
So,
oh man, okay, I'll close it out. Thanks for the laughs, the hilarity. I love that. I love it when people bring jokes because it helps break things up a bit, you know. But yeah, you guys can find me here every Thursday night, 10 p.m. looking for other members in the community to talk to share experiences and talk comic books flat out. Anybody that's interested in being on, hit us up, send me a message. The topics change week to week, except for this topic's been so fun. We went 2 weeks, and I'm going to pocket this idea for a month or so and bring it back for a part 3 with some other members because honestly, this topic about publishers is very diverse.
Oh yeah,
it's as diverse as the community. But you guys can find me on Comic Horror's Monday night Modern Men every 10 p.m. where we're reading something different every week, and we're reading Thanos Wins next Monday. That'll be exciting. And the chat can vote every week on the community tab for the Comic Core community tab on what we read every week. You guys can sometimes find me on the Wednesday show. They call me the laugh track. I like to think of it as a king in a room full of jesters, and they're taking care. They're making me laugh for the night. And I've got my own channel where I do some experimenting and some unboxing. I try to experiment with thumbnails and editing and stuff like that. So I'm usually doing something comic book related over there. And this Saturday, we're going to be reviewing Sentient, Jeff Lemire's Sentient, on Downright Nerdy podcast channel. Me, Bored and Annoyed, and Downright Nerdy, we're going to review that Saturday night, 9 p.m. And that's what I've got going on. So everybody like, comment, subscribe to all these guys. Check out their information. It's all down in the description. Hit the notification bell so whenever they go on, you get to see them. I know YouTube's been doing some weird things with notifications, and like people that were subbed to other people became unsubbed somehow, and it's wonky. Hopefully they figure that stuff out and figure out the notifications. But appreciate everybody that's been in the chat. You guys got any last comments?
Thanks for having us on. It was awesome. I had a lot of fun.
Dude, yeah, I love it, man. This is always a great time talking with everybody.
Yep, it's always fun. I like being on here hanging out for sure.
Go Cats, right? Always.
Thanks again, guys. Have a great night. Thanks for everybody in the chat for sticking with us and watching. We've had a solid group of people tonight supporting it. So thank you very much. Everybody remember to check them out, sub them up, and I'll go peace out. Go pinkies out. I'll catch everybody on the flip side for next week.